What's up fam, welcome to the new series in my channel, Before You Pull, where we assess the upcoming banners and consider if the characters and weapons are worth pulling for or just a skip altogether. Today we're going to be looking at the different characters and weapons coming out in 3.6. So that's Nahida and Nilou on the first half, and Baizhu and Ganyu on the second half. While we don't have information yet on the 4-star characters coming out alongside them, you should remember that you're not supposed to be pulling for 4-star characters, cause RNG can really screw you over. As a disclaimer, there are no must-pull characters in Genshin Impact. This is a casual game, and as such, you don't need to get 5-star characters just to clear even the hardest content in the game, which is currently the Spiral Abyss. Some of the 4-star characters in the game can already clear the Abyss, and all you have to do is just put in the time and effort to properly invest in the weapons, talent levels, and artifacts, and the rest should be easy. In most cases, the 5-star characters will only really help you clear it potentially faster. Anyway, let's get into it. The first character that we have on the list is Nahida, who is arguably one of the best Dendro characters, if not one of the best characters in the game. Out of all these characters coming out in 3.6, Nahida is definitely a top tier unit. She has synergy with almost all characters in the game, with maybe the exception of Geo and physical units. One of the best things about her is her ability to apply Dendro to enemies. When you tap or hold her skill, she can mark multiple enemies, which has an insane range. Once marked, all you have to do is trigger an elemental reaction and it will trigger her Tri-Karma Purification, which will deal Dendro damage and apply Dendro to all linked enemies. There are a ton of different reactions you can do with Dendro. You have Quicken, where you apply Dendro and Electro to the enemy. Once in the Quicken state, any Dendro or Electro damage will be amplified, which are named Spread and Aggravate respectively. You also have Bloom reactions when you apply Dendro and Hydro. This will cause Bloom Seed to drop on the ground and will explode after 6 seconds if no further reactions are made. However, if you apply Electro to the seed, this will cause the Hyper Bloom reaction, which acts like a homing missile. And if you apply Pyro to the seed, you have Burgeon, which explodes and does AoE damage. But beware though, as both Bloom and Burgeon both deal damage to your active character if you're close enough. While Quicken, Aggravate, and Spread reactions are all additive reactions, meaning they actually scale off attack and still depend on crit rate and crit damage, Bloom-related reactions are all transformative reactions. As such, having high EM on the character triggering these reactions and having them at max level will greatly boost damage. One of the easiest team comps to play with Nahida is the Hyper Bloom team comp, where you have Nahida as the Dendro applicator, a Hydro applicator like Shinsho or Barbara, and an Electro unit like Lisa, Fischl, or Kuki. And the last slot can be a flex spot. While in her burst, Nahida provides an EM buff to your active character based on 25% of the max EM in your party. She can give a maximum of 250 EM to the active character as long as you have someone in the team with at least 1000 EM. Aside from the EM buff, you also get some added benefits from Nahida's burst depending on the units you have in your team. Hydro increases the duration of her burst, Electro makes the interval of her Tri-Karma Purification procs faster, and Pyro adds a damage bonus to the Tri-Karma Purification procs. You can even double the effect of these bonuses if you add another character of that specific element. I got her on the first day of her banner, and I gotta say, she has always helped me clear the Abyss since then, without fail. If you don't have her yet, then you can pick her up now, and she will add so many viable team comps to help you clear content faster. Among the 4 5-star characters during 3.6, Nahida has the highest pull value just because of how versatile she truly is. If you're planning to pick her up, you can start by farming the Deepwood set, as this is one of the best sets you can put on her, as it applies a Dendro resistant shred to the enemies whenever you do an elemental reaction. Alternatively, if you already have someone on the Deepwood set, then you can go for a Gilded Dream set to help boost both her attack and EM. For the substats, if she will be your only source of EM in the team, then having her on triple EM will help maximize her burst's bonus EM. Otherwise, you can go for a more offensive build with EM for the Sands, Dendro damage for the Goblet, and crit rate or crit damage for the Circlet. As for her weapons, you could go for an EM weapon. Otherwise, you can also go for a Favonius Codex, which helps energy regeneration for the team. As for her constellations, her Constellation 1 doubles the current buff from her ult based on the characters that you have in your party. Constellation 2 provides an amazing boost in damage, allowing Bloom-related reactions to crit. Just note that the values for crit rate and crit damage are fixed at 20% and 100% respectively, and is not affected by your character's own crit stats. It also provides Death Shred by 30% when a character is affected by Quicken, Aggravate, and Spread. So Constellation 2 would be a good stopping point if you really want to invest in your constellations for Nahida. Her signature weapon provides the highest EM in the game. It's definitely not required, but if you are set on pulling for it, it goes very well with her supportive playstyle as it provides buffs depending on the element of your teammates, plus providing a little bit of EM to the team as well. If you haven't dipped your toes into Dendro, then this is the best opportunity to start. Pulling for her will surely give your account amazing value. Alrighty, up next is going to be Nilou. First off, I gotta say, she is a niche unit, but don't underestimate her as she is amazing at what she does. Specifically, she buffs the bloom reaction. Thanks to her Golden Chalice passive, whenever you have her Tranquility Aura active through her skill, she will convert regular bloom seeds into bountiful cores, which not only explode faster, have a larger AoE, but also have increased damage. And if that got you excited, you have to consider that in order to draw out her full potential, she has to be in a very specific team of only Hydro and Dendro characters. That being said, the playstyle of Nilou teams are very straightforward. You can opt to build a specific unit to drive the bountiful cores explosions by building them with high EM. But be wary though, bountiful cores can really hurt your active character, so making sure you have a healer in the team will help you mitigate that. As for her build, it's very easy. Just grab yourself a 2-piece Tenacity and a 2-piece from the new artifact set Cautious Glow, and this will help boost Nilou's HP tremendously, and in turn increase the damage of bountiful cores. As for her weapon options, since we don't really have any 3 or 4 star weapon options with an HP substat, your best bet would be to go for an EM weapon or an energy recharge weapon instead. As for her constellations, Constellation 1 is pretty okay since it extends the Tranquility Aura duration by 6 seconds, and then her Constellation 2 is actually a good stopping point if you really want to invest in her since it decreases the Hydro resistance and Dendro resistance for 10 seconds. Her signature weapon, the Key of Kajusut, is by far her best in slot. Not only does it provide the highest HP % bonus in the game, it also provides EM to her teammates. So if you really want to invest in your Nilou teams, this is a pretty good weapon to pick up. For her team comps, you can go for any combination of Hydro and Dendro units. A good team would comprise of a healer and 2 DPS or sub-DPS characters, and maybe Shinsho or Kale for the last slot, depending if you got a Hydro healer or Dendro healer. Just make sure that one of them actually has the Deepwood set so that you get to shred Dendro resistance at the same time. Her team playstyle is pretty easy and her rotations are very forgiving. Just make sure you watch your HP so that it doesn't fall to 0. Up next is going to be Baizhu. While we only have the livestream information to go by, without diving into leaks, Baizhu is actually a unit who specializes in healing and shielding. His skill can hit up to 3 enemies dealing Dendro damage and provides a party-wide heal based on his max HP, and his ult provides a shield every 2.5 seconds. If the shield breaks or expires, it will heal your active character based on his max HP as well, then also trigger a Dendro attack. While he can't provide decent Dendro support in the form of healing and a little bit of Dendro application, one of his best use case scenarios I see is with Cyno, especially when you're dealing with multiple waves of enemies. As you know, Cyno's burst lasts for as much as 18 seconds. During this time, if you want to maximize the damage, you have to keep him on field. As such, Baiju's ult can provide you that Dendro application Cyno needs during his burst to still proc the Quicken Aura on the new waves of enemies. As for his build, since he's a healer, you would want to have him as much HP as you can. However, note that he does need a high energy requirement with his AD cost burst, so putting ER substats or putting an ER weapon on him would be a good choice. Just like with other Dendro comps, it's important that if you don't have anyone with the Deepwood set, make sure to put it on him to provide that Dendro resistant shred to improve your team's damage. As for his constellations, none of them are really all that great, to be honest. I suppose if you want to have that extra heal, you can go for Constellation 1, otherwise, he looks decent at C0. As for his signature weapon, the Jadefall Splendor, while it does provide an ample amount of HP from the substats and some much needed energy every 2.5 seconds during his burst, it doesn't really provide that much incentive to go for it, as you still have plenty of free-to-play options like the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers and a Prototype Amber, to name a few, plus the fact that it's most likely going to run alongside Amos Bow, which is a standard banner weapon, gives it less of a pull value overall. If you already have pretty good Dendro teams with Nahida, and you just want to add variety, then Baizhu might be a good unit to pull. Like I said earlier, he's pretty good in quicken teams, where just having consistent, even though slow Dendro application is quite helpful. Plus you also get healing and shielding, which definitely helps survivability. And finally, we go to the odd one in the bunch. While the rest of the 5-star characters are centered around Dendro team comps, the final character we have in this patch is the OG best DPS in the game, Ganyu. Ganyu excels at dealing cryo damage from a distance with her bow, using her charge shot as her main source of damage, which has 2 charge levels. The first level deals a single instance of cryo damage, while the second level fires a frost flake arrow that deals 2 instances of cryo damage, one from the arrow and one from the frost flake, which deals AoE cryo damage. Her elemental skill allows her to dash backward and leave behind an ice lotus that taunts enemies and deals cryo damage. Her elemental burst summons a rain of ice shards that deals AoE cryo damage, while also increasing cryo damage by 20% while in the burst's AoE. For her build, you can either go for a 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set, which boosts crit rate by 20% for enemies affected by cryo and another 20% on frozen enemies, which is mainly centered around freeze comps. Meanwhile, her other build is using the Wanderer's Troop set, which provides a decent amount of damage while doing charge shots. And the 2-piece bonus also provides a little bit of EM, which is useful in melt teams. She is best paired with the Shielder since her charge shots do take time to wind up, so characters like Zhongli, Leona, or Layla can provide a decent amount of shielding while she does her thing. As for her weapon options, her best craftable weapon is the Hamayumi, which provides a decent buff to her charge shots. As for her constellations, honestly, you don't really need any, but if you want to go for it, Constellation 1 provides a 15% cryo resistance shred, which is already pretty good. Overall, Ganyu is a powerful cryo bow user and can deal massive damage to enemies from a distance thanks to her charge shots. So if you're in the market looking for another good cryo DPS and you don't mind doing charge shots, then Ganyu might be the character you're looking for. Honestly, I'm pretty shocked with the banners we have in 3.6, especially with Nahida's rerun. A lot of people haven't really gotten her yet, and I'm pretty happy people can hopefully get her this time around. Personally, I'm excited to pull for Nilou and Baizhu, as it will give me even more team comps to play with. How about you? Who are you planning to pull for in 3.6? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, drop a like on this video to let me know if this helped you or not, and consider subscribing as well. We have well over 2 years worth of Genshin Impact, and I'd love for you to be part of my community. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you all stay safe. Peace out, fam. That was so clutch too.